What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. I hope you guys are ready for today because we got some comics coming at you. We are starting today off with Sins of Sinister, coming directly out of the pages of Immortal X-Men, coming from writer Kieran Gillen, having artist Lucas Wernick, along with a whole slew of other artists that do contribute to this comic. And for those of you that have not been following along, understanding what Sinister has really been up to in founding the mutant nation of Krakoa and granting mutant kind the gift of resurrection, many compromises had been made. One of the biggest ones was Sinister, Nathaniel Essex. They granted him a place on Krakoa's ruling body. But of course, Sinister never stopped his scheming, always trying to do the best for himself. The most notable thing that he has done is taken a Moira clone, and he has been using her mutant gift to reset reality so that he can make it to his own advantage, giving himself save points to be able to do over important parts of his plan that he may not have gotten right. And after Sinister's many attempts of trying to take out the Quiet Council, it took him 10 total tries, but he was able to take down Hope, Exodus, Emma Frost, and Charles Xavier. For these crimes, they had thrown him into the pit. Unfortunately, the newly resurrected Charles Xavier, he appears to also be a Sinister. Now, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, this is the story that I have been waiting for, that I have been so freaking excited to have come out. This story drops us 10 years in the future from when he got dropped into the pit. We see a Sinister that is hatching eggs, all of them reaching up to Sinister. He says, "To me, my me's." But to get to this 10-year mark, we have to start in present day. And in present day, just recently, he went after the Quiet Council. As soon as he did and he recognized that they were coming after him, he booted up one of the Moira clones. And so this is one of the timelines that he is testing out. This is his first attempt at it. So we're gonna see how it all plays out until he ultimately decides to reset it and start all over again. That, of course, is if he is not successful. If Sinister is able to get everything right, there would be no point in restarting everything. Now, as we pick up in Charles Xavier's room, exactly where we left off with Immortal X-Men, we have Emma Frost, Exodus, and Hope that all come into the room. We are quickly learning that they are also Sinisters, all of them being able to hide their diamonds when they are around other people, but when they are with one another, they are more than willing to show off that red diamond. This is letting us know that when Sinister killed the Quiet Council, or at least a good amount of the members, when they were resurrected, they had been tampered with. This was all a plan by Sinister, and with their resurrection, Sinister has taken over. Though he may be in the pit, these other Sinisters, they are running everything. That is when Charles Xavier goes on to let everybody know that with Sinister being gone, it is time to reconsider their program. No more reformed criminals on this Quiet Council, but he wants a new Krakoa. He wants a kinder Krakoa, wanting to share more with humans and give them accessibility to immortality. Emma Frost playing her role, she objects to it, saying that they must take care of themselves, that you have all the dead Genosians that have yet to return. But Charles, the Sinister Charles, he believes that the bigger stake humanity has in Krakoan success means that they will not attempt to attack. While the deliberation goes on, this is where Storm interjects. Storm, not taken over by a Sinister because she cannot die. If she dies, it is a permanent death. And this idea of sharing more of the immortality with humankind is something that she is on board with. but the practicalities are what concern her. Is this something that they can actually do? With Charles going on to say that Forge more than likely has the skills to pick up where Sinister had left off. Now we're gonna jump 1 year into the future. We have the reporter Ben, who is going to JJ. The two of them are meeting in secret, with Ben pulling out some kind of device from a suitcase. He grabs JJ and he sticks him with it. After seeing the results, he is relieved because Jonah is still the same individual. He is yet to be taken over. This is where Ben goes to explain that the mutant gift, having the limited X gene implanted to guarantee their immortality, he has the evidence to prove it was all a Trojan horse. That if you have this gene, you can be taken over at any time. And even if not, it still warps you, pushes you to your worst impulses. They have had politicians all over the country that have already taken this. He knows that the X-Men, Krakoa, mutant kind, they are pushing to take over the world with smiles on their faces. This is when Jonah exposes that he in fact has been taken over. He is a Sinister. Jonah going on to explain that mutant kind is the one that put out that test. But it was all fake. It was all done to lure paranoid individuals like Ben. As dozens of other individuals cram into the room, they grab Ben and they take him out of here. That is what takes us back over to Krakoa. With Forge now being a Sinister, he has created a weapon that will destroy Krakoa. As we see a bolt of energy land on this island, Cypher having a conversation with Krakoa. That is when a Sinister Wolverine comes in from behind him and he opens up Doug's chest. That is when Emma Frost talks to the world, bringing a very grim message. They are blaming this attack on Orcus, letting the world know that Orcus killed their living island. They wiped the banks of all psychic imprints. And while they have another method to retrieve mutant ones, the humans' minds are lost forever, that their immortality has been stolen away from them. Emma Frost saying that they will act against Orcus immediately, with the Avengers joining the ranks in the fight against Orcus. This was no fight that Orcus could win, even with Nimrod on their side, with Moira Sentinel letting Nimrod know that he needs to run, but Nimrod refuses to stand down. Between the minds of Forge, Reed Richards, and Tony Stark, they are able to take down Nimrod, with the day being won. Orcus no longer on the map. There may be small remnants that were able to make an escape, but Orcus has been defeated. And then there's a conversation between Captain America and Cyclops. Cyclops talking about maybe getting that X gene so that Captain America has immortality, making him a quote-unquote honorary X-Men. And as we are taken back over to Krakoa, this is where we have the return of Sinister, now being able to take himself out of the pit without any concern that anybody may interfere. All of his minions begin to report into him, letting him know how the plan has progressed, that Krakoa is dead, Earth is compromised, and there is no one left to know that he has been released from the pit. This is when Sinister goes to his secret hideout. As he sits here and he talks to himself, we are learning that he did in fact hide something in everybody's DNA, giving them access to his gene library. He had promised, of course, that he wasn't going to tamper with anything, but we know Sinister, and of course he was lying. He had buried a copy of himself and a little bit of extra spice in everybody's DNA sample. Anytime anyone died, they'd be compromised when they were brought back. This seemed to be a perfect plan. The only problem, it didn't work out how he had planned. It had taken him a lot of Moira resets to truly understand what was going on. The problem was always hope. Whatever her weird mutant gift is, she was fixing all the meddling the Sinister had been doing. She had to be the one to be compromised first for the whole thing to be compromised. But killing Just Hope would have been suspicious. That is why he killed as many members of the Quiet Council as he could, and then getting himself thrown into the pit. This means that he is away and no one can point the finger at Sinister. And now, the X-Men are all his. The X-Men are him. Everything is Sinister forever. Now he's going to sit back, he's going to watch as this commences, planning to sit the next 5 years out and just observe. Getting reports that Thanos was going to attack yet again as he tumbled through the time streams. A psychically manipulated Juggernaut volunteered for this mission, hailed as a hero as he was loaded into a forge-crafted temporal cannon, temporarily miniaturized via an application of Micromax. Hope borrowing Domino's powers and taking the shot. We saw Thanos' brain matter is scattered across 2 billion years of history. Juggernaut emerging into reality, left accelerating into space. There has yet been no attempt to go out and retrieve him. And of course, Victor Von Doom, recognizing that Krakoa was becoming too powerful, he went to Namor. He went looking for an alliance. It was only too late that he recognized Namor had already been taken over, and so Doom is replaced by a clone, fully under the control of mutants. There is a solo remaining Doombot claiming the mantle of Doom. There have only been a handful of number of sightings, but what remains of Orcus, they say that Doom is working with them. So it is possible that Omega Sentinel and Doom are working together. Next is the Eternals. The Araki people, they release Uranos. That 1 hour that they have, they open up the gates to the machine and they let him go loose. The Eternals are defeated. They are safely stored away in a stasis engine, and Uranos, he is sent back to his prison. When it comes to the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards is considered to be too dangerous, an unmalleable individual. Many people believe that he put in some kind of psychic lockout. He put in failsafes to prevent any kind of gross tampering. The only problem, Reed Richards isn't the only one on the Fantastic Four. Ben is the one to be compromised, a Mystique gene allowing him to return to his human form. After the Sinister gene had done its work, he wanted one more thing, for them to die like he had lived. And so Krakoa provided a mission passing through cosmic rays. The Fantastic Four had disappeared into the void to never be heard from again. And then it comes to what is left of the Avengers. The Avengers are pushed to increasingly extreme, antisocial, and very dangerous actions. This climaxes in war, when Captain America takes control of the US government after murdering the sitting president. Thankfully, the X-Men were there to save the day. By the end of the X-Men Avengers War, the X-Men are all hailed as Earth's mightiest heroes. That is what brings us to 5 years into this timeline. At this point, sitting around the Quiet Council, Storm is one of the few individuals that has not been able to be tampered with. At this point, she has also recognized that Nightcrawler is not in fact Nightcrawler, that this is some kind of replacement. This is where we see the main Sinister come into the room, having Nightcrawler but severely turned, changed, manipulated. Sinister has been messing with his genes. Storm not understanding how Sinister is here. He was supposed to be in the pit. This is when it is also revealed to her that everybody on the Quiet Council, they are Sinister. Sinister going on to let Storm know that she has always made things hard. Deleting herself from the Resurrection Protocol meant there was no killing her to bring her on board. Psychic meddling was too much of a risk. But at this point, they are left with no other option. Emma Frost and Charles Xavier are going to do their thing. What they were not aware of is Storm took precautions. She recognized that things weren't going right. That is where she uses Laktuka. He had sewn in a defense into Storm's mind, that her mind will become linked with his infinite one. The intruders will be pushed away because one cannot hold the ocean between their fingers and come out the other side. That is where we see the storm come down. The lightning, the thunder, the hurricane winds. Storm recognizes she has to get out of the situation, leaving the Quiet Council in rubble. She takes off to Peru, and this is where she runs into Destiny and Mystique. They took off at the very beginning of all of this. They have been laying low and hiding out. Destiny letting Storm know that they are going to lose this fight against Sinister if they are not working on the same side. With Sinister no longer concerned about Storm, at least for the time being, Sebastian Shaw becomes Krakoa's emissary to the various hells. Thor had left the Avengers as they had turned evil, retiring to Asgard in depression, with Sebastian Shaw making a Hellforge deal. He was able to borrow a certain sword. With that sword and magic, Asgard and all of its inhabitants, they are propelled away from Midgard. Sinister going after the Scarlet Witch for no reason other than just in case. This is also where we have the first generation of true Chimera that are born into the world, splicing 2 X genes into one body. With Storm believed to be hiding out on Arakko, attempts to detain and murder her have all failed. Evasion of Arakko with the Stage 2 Chimera. This allows an insert of a Legion clone into the planet's core. With a psychic prompting, 2 seconds of complete loss of control. This is more than sufficient to end this entire planet. But Storm's fate, it is still left unknown. That is what jumps us 10 years into the future. Everybody is lining up to get their X gene. And while we have Foggy out here trying to let everybody know that this is nothing more than control, that you have to stop, we have Spider-Man, or what was once Spider-Man, now going by Night Legion, letting them know that this is all for the good. It is all for the better, grabbing Foggy and taking him off. Sinister lets it be known that the people are here because they don't know. The people are begging for this. Now that they have control over everything, there is no longer a reason for them to hide their diamonds. They flaunt them, they gloat them, they expose them to the world. Now, the other members of the council do bring up the concerns of the empires that are out in space, that inevitably they are gonna come. They are gonna try to take us out. There is also what remains of Orcus. There are still many threats that are left. And while the main Sinister says that none of this is really of concern, Emma Frost, she says why not put this up for a vote? As they prepare for their space war, the main Sinister is a little bit confused, even surprised. He believed that he had more pull around here. This is when he learns that the other Sinisters, Charles Xavier, Emma Frost, Exodus, and Hope, they have all been tampering with things just a little bit. While they are the Quiet Council of Sinisters, they believe that they should all be ruling together. Now, Sinister, recognizing that they've all teamed up together, for the time being, he says yes, of course, this all makes sense. As he takes off and he goes to his secret hideouts, he curses them, recognizing that this all went to hell. He needed their personalities, but he believes that he gave them too long of a leash. He was hoping that he had gotten a little bit farther in all of this, but he learned a lot. This is much better than most of his first Moira runs. So now he wants to sweep the board, clear it all out, and start over again. But his teleport does not work. and so he has to go there physically, knowing that he is going to have to move the location because going here physically has gave it away. But as he makes his way down into his laboratory, what he finds is that it is all gone. Somebody has stolen his lab. Someone has stolen his Moiras. And now he is trapped in this timeline. Alright gang, we are jumping 10 years into Sinister taking over everything. And Storm remembers how Arako had died. She remembers confronting the Quiet Council. She wanted to know why, and when she arrived, she quickly learned exactly what was going on. That Sinister had taken over all of them, barely being able to escape via a psychic failsafe implanted by one of her friends. In that moment, she was ready to go to war. But destiny had told her to wait, and so she found what mutant she could, called in every single favor that she had. They were ready for anything, but they were not ready for everything. Everything all at once. Sinister threw everything he had at them, and of course he blamed the attack on the scrolls. All propaganda to serve his bigger goal. But Storm and the others knew that these were the Chimera. While Storm and the Brotherhood had been planning, so had Sinister, and he left nothing to chance. They had fought against all hope. They fought knowing that they would lose. This is what it means to be from the Broken Land, to be a Rocky. But now the people, they have scattered across space. Some of them remain hiding in the asteroid fields that was once Arako. The planet now destroyed, nothing but rock floating in space. This is where Storm and her Brotherhood of Mutants call their home base. They hide away here, unbeknownst to Sinister, waiting for their opportunity. This is where we see a conversation between Storm and Destiny. Destiny had told them to wait. She had said not to attack immediately. Now Storm is wondering, was that a good idea? Were the premonitions wrong? Because she sits on this broken land, this tiny piece of rock that is floating out in space. At this point, Storm is blaming Destiny for everything that has happened, but she is also skeptical on if this is actually Destiny. This is where we see Ironfire. Coming up from behind her, he recognizes that this is not Destiny. Body language being off. Vocal infliction too precise, as he drives that sword that is connected to his arm directly through her stomach. We see that this is Mystique. He had already known this when he went to attack her. That's why he wasn't too concerned about stabbing her, because she is going to heal back from it. With Storm going on to say, "Why are you here? Why have you come here?" She says it is to protect her wife. But she does come with a message. The message of what Sinister has truly been up to. Finally, the news is out there. Sinister has a secret cloning facility dedicated to a secret clone. That clone being Moira. That he activates her mutant gene and uses it as a safe spot. The clone's life began 10 years ago. That is the most recent save spot. If they destroy the facility, they kill the clone. They reset time. They go back 10 years to when all of this started. And while there's no guarantee that events won't play out the same way, at least they will have a chance at saving everything. Storm only taking a moment, but then turning to John Ironfire and letting him know to assemble the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood made up of Cable, Cora, WizKid, Iron Fist, Quick, now Mystique being a part of this as well. And of course, the wonderful, the powerful, the beautiful Storm herself. As our team body slides in to Sinister's secret island, the team not really sure if they are able to trust Mystique, but right now that is not their concern. This is when the Chimera attack. A combination of both Maggot and Morrow. Every bone in their bodies is a flesh eater. While Cora and Quick, they focus on these individuals. We have Storm. She creates a tornado. She is tearing up this island, digging herself into the ground. She takes WizKid and she takes Ironfire along with her. They make their way into the sublevels, and what they see is a chimera unlike anything they have ever seen. It is a living force field. This is where WizKid does his thing. Using some new technology that he just created, he starts trying to break down the impenetrable field. Meanwhile, Ironfire and Storm creating a conduit with their powers. Ironfire throwing out iron rods in all directions, and Storm electrifying them. We see the electrical current going through all of these chimera. With WizKid initiating his program, we see this entire thing teleported out of here. The entire lab, force field and all. The day has been won. The lab has been stolen. This is going to buy them just a little bit of time. With Storm turning her back on WizKid, we see him stand up and he drives a sword right through her stomach, asking Iron Fist if he was able to spot her this time. Because this is not WizKid, this is Mystique. Mystique played Ironfire for a fool. All of the body language, the vocal inflection, she has been faking it for years for this moment. That the Mystique that was on the surface fighting with Cable and the others was nothing more than a hard light hologram. When Ironfire goes in to kill her, that is where we see her able to translocate out of here, leaving Storm in a very wounded position. John Ironfire calling for a medevac. That is what takes us to the World Farm. Mystique is returning and we have Destiny, who has been waiting for her. This all went according to Destiny's plan. The Brotherhood took care of Sinister's defenses, and Mystique took out the leader of the Brotherhood. With no Storm, they believe that she is no threat, that the Brotherhood is no threat. Also saying that it is relatively ironic that if they hadn't lured her into action, the timeline would have reset. And then there is another voice, letting Destiny know that this individual knows him very well. That this chaos he unleashed was his idea of a controlled experiment, but he is no longer in control. Going on to ask Destiny why she doesn't want to fix the last 10 years. Destiny letting us know that it is simple. In this world, right now, her and Mystique are alive. That is the only thing she cares about. Refusing to gamble with this idea, that is why she is not restarting the timeline. Our mystery individual going on to say that there is only one winning card, that there is an endgame. At the end of all of this, there can only be one of us who has dominion. And that is when it is revealed to us that this is Stellaris. It is the Spade Sinister, and he now has control of restarting the timeline. Alright gang, so this story is picking us up in New Essex, also formerly known as New York City. We pick up at the Sanctum, once the house to Doctor Strange. This house being empty, what we find is the spirit of variance. What is unique, after 10 years, the spirit of variance and Banshee, they are both here. They can communicate with one another much like Johnny and Ghost Rider might be able to. They find themselves inside the Sanctum looking for items of power. Unfortunately for them, Sinister's army, his Legion of the Night, they have shown up. These are his Chimera, his secret legion spliced together by Nightcrawler, using individuals like Wolverine, Spider-Man, Domino. He has created the ultimate weapons. And the Legion of Night is now descending down on the spirit of variance. Having no other option, they used the Scream of Change. Previously, this had never worked on any of the Chimera. The Scream is a reordering of the mind and spirits. They have tried this on countless Sinisters, but they have found that their core cannot be shaken free. The infectious ego is simply too strong. But right now, they have no other option. Screaming into the face of the Chimera Wolverine, we see her put it pause. And then in an instant, we see her begin to attack the others that are still inflicted by Sinister. That is when the spirit of variance begins screaming into all of their faces. As many as he can, as quickly as he can. With half of the Legion being taken over by Spirit of Variance, we see that the rest of them, they want to scatter. They want to inform the council of exactly what is going on. But before they get the opportunity to leave, we see the chimera that is both Nightcrawler and Domino opening up a teleport, taking some lucky shots. Every single one of these shots meets their target. What remains of this Legion of the Night, they have all been assassinated right here on the spot. And what remains of the Legion of Night, they now find themselves needing somewhere to go, needing some kind of direction. These are all creations of Sinister. Now that they have been broken free, they need to know what are they for and what is their higher purpose. This is what brings us to Luna, the House of the Fall, formerly known as the Summer's Home. We have Mother Righteous and the Spirit of Variance. They have come here for a meeting. As the two of them go inside, we quickly learn that they were not invited to this meeting. This meeting is between Stellaris and our Dr. Stasis. This is a meeting of the Sinisters. Stellaris being the first chair of the Galactic Rim, Dr. Stasis being the captain of the Orcus remaining forces. They have yet to fully understand who Mother Righteous is, but with her coming in and crashing this party, she lets it be known that the X gene that had got bewitched, she has been working in secret to reverse this hex. If you guys have been following Legion of X or anything going on with Nightcrawler, you will see that he has been inflicted with a secondary mutation, causing his mutation to go haywire, turning him into nothing more than a monster. Mother Righteous has been working in secret to reverse all of this. Years to fix it, with spells, sacrifices, deals, all of it. But it is finally done. Dr. Stasis not really happy with this decision, because Orcus had commissioned that hex. While it lasted, Sinister was unable to exploit some of the most dangerous bloodlines. But ever since this was reversed, we have seen Nightcrawler's strain being used to build hit squads. This is when Mother Righteous takes off her mask and reveals that she is the Heart Sinister, one that doesn't have any kind of narcissistic delusions, that she may be the one true Sinister. She knows that she is not the original, but she didn't come here to talk about that. That is where she has the Spirit of Variance attack, going after the Club Sinister. We see this battle break out, and while Dr. Stasis may believe he has the opportunity to overcome this situation, that is where we see the Legion come in. The Chimera that were once saved by the Spirit of Variance now work for Mother Righteous. They are new disciples, and they come in here fighting with a fury, as Dr. Stasis throws out every defense in his arsenal and may look like he has the upper hand when he grabs hold of the Wolverine Chimera, about ready to rip her to pieces, but that is when her Nightcrawler tail comes out, and that tail also has one of the Wolverine claws, putting that right into the head of Dr. Stasis. He is taken out of the game, with Stellaris saying that that was a beautiful display, because Stellaris had hired Mother Righteous to assassinate him. The reason Mother Righteous did this is because she wants some answers. This is when he divulges that he stole Sinister's lab. They didn't want him resetting reality. That is because he has the processing power of the World Farm, crushing possibilities to find a path to the highest throne. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, nobody can access the Moira clones now. And so what Stellaris is doing is allowing Sinister's chaos to wipe out any threat that could face against him. He doesn't have to lift a single finger, and Sinister is doing all of the work for him, believing that eventually the possibilities will lead to him being in control of everything. Stellaris only asks one thing of Mother Righteous: to stay out of the way. That if you stay clear, you will have safe passage. With Mother Righteous needing to take this information in, she tells Vox Ignis and the rest of her Legion that they need to go out and they need to find new recruits, new resources, and new believers. And so this takes them to the Savage Land. It takes them to Namor. It takes them all over the world looking for people and artifacts that they may be able to bring to their side. That is what brings us to the prime cloning facility where this legion had actually been created. As they look around, what they find is Dr. Nemesis and the original Nightcrawler. Mother Righteous had dissolved the spell which afflicted him over a decade ago, but the effects are still persistent. He grows more monstrous and more mindless. All it would take to set him back to his regular self is a resurrection. But unfortunately, right now, Sinister is the only one that has control over resurrection. As the Legion goes around and they begin to rescue those that they can, adding a few more members to their team. They are freeing them from Sinister's grasp, and they are joining forces against something even greater. At this point, both Banshee and the Spirit of Variance, they're a little bit concerned on what they are doing. Is it good or evil? Are they doing the right thing? And the Spirit of Variance, he lets Banshee know that he's not really sure if this is all good or bad. What he does know is that the Legion, also known as the Nightkin, they are happier free. They are kind. In the very heart of their soul, Nightcrawler is still in there somewhere. That spark, it is still very much alive. But if it does prove that they are in the service to evil, then they must trust in the instinct of the Nightkin. They must trust in them to find a better way. That is what takes us to Avengers Crater, formerly known as Avengers Mountain. Her Legion have come with all kinds of artifacts. They have the Book of the Spark. They have a Limbo Rifle. The Brain of Cortez. Sinisters hang these everywhere to boost their powers. This is when our Mother Righteous, she shows us a vision. She shows us the laboratory, the giant chimera surrounding it, keeping it encapsulated, and it is surrounded by flames. This place stolen, protected, and hidden. It is only through remote viewing that she can even get a glimpse of it, going on to say that this is the dark heart of all sin, and it is up to them to cleanse it. That there are others out there that were working against the devil, but they are unwilling to join forces because they have their own goals and plans in mind. What Mother Righteous wants to do is create a weapon, a holy weapon that they must build. Properly deployed, it'll purge the sinister strain from the heart of every mutant. It will do this with the white hot fire of faith. All they are missing is what is on the inside. This is when one of the Legion members steps forward. Our Nightcrawler Spider-Man, he is the one to step forward, to say that he will go in, he will try to get into this laboratory. Though this may be a suicide mission, these are the faithful. They are willing to do anything that Mother Righteous demands. Using the Cortez brain, we see him bamf out of here as he makes his way to the World Farm where this is all hidden away, where the laboratory is hidden in flames. As he begins to teleport into it, we see that there is a teleportation barrier. In an instant, this chimera is wiped away, with Mother Righteous saying that the boy died for love. The love he bore for his kin. Love for the world, love for the sacred spark inside of all of them. Asking what his name is, they all called him Wallcrawler. And much like some Fight Club stuff, we see Mother Righteous begin to say the name Wallcrawler. She says it over and over, all the others also begin to say it. As if in death, he now has a name. His name was Wallcrawler, and a new ritual is born. This is when Mother Righteous tells them that it is time to get to work. While you were made into the ultimate killers, she is going to use them as holy thieves, the Buccaneers of Light. And what they are to steal are the instruments of the gods. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up in New Essex. This is 10 years in the future. The world has been taken over, and there are still small groups of individuals like Nick Fury that are trying to fight back. We see them on this evening planning an operation. They plan to put in a virus that would bring down the entire Cerebro satellite system. They believe that this is their best way to really forging a new resistance ever since Orcus was taken off the board. As our team heads out, they all jump out the window. Jumping out the window, they all fall down to the ground. They fall to their death. Just like that, Nick Fury and his team are done for. That is what takes us over to Krakoa. We have the sinister Charles Xavier that just took them out. This is what individuals like Charles and Emma have been up to. They use their powers and abilities to take down these cells. But what we do see is that Sinister let them keep a little bit of their personalities. This is something that he is now regretting but cannot reverse. Because while they may be sinister, there are still very much remnants of the people that they used to be. For example, Charles Xavier, he finds doing all of this killing of these terrorist cells, he finds it a little bit immoral. He finds this hard to do. He wants the dream to be real, that they must perform these acts to ensure the safety of the dream. But more than anything, Charles wants them to submit. He doesn't want to have to kill all of these people just to get everybody on board. He wishes that everybody would just come to the dream. While Emma Frost, on the other hand, she has no problem killing all of these cells. In fact, she enjoys doing this work. Now, as these two have a conversation with Charles saying that he wished Magneto was here, only so that he could finally realize that Charles was right and he was wrong. With them being interrupted by Hope, saying that they need to have a quiet council meeting. That is when Emma Frost psychic projects everybody to the quiet council room. And in this quiet council meeting, this is where we really see that their personalities are still there. For example, Exodus, he is very much still a believer in Hope. Even though she is a Sinister, he still believes her to be the Messiah. While Hope, on the other hand, she has taken the path of Cable, even going as far as getting a cybernetic hand that has a grenade and a gun inside of it. But with this quiet council meeting, they are talking about the prospects, about the future of Krakoa and mutant kind. The problem is, they rule Earth. They are growing even more powerful, and the galaxy is beginning to notice. They are theorizing that within 1 to 10 years, they are gonna see a galactic war. Most likely, this is gonna be by proxy, but within 10 to 30 years, it is undeniable that one of the empires in space, they are going to declare war. After 30 years, if they are still standing, they are an undeniable threat. More than likely, there will be a super alliance. 2 major powers will join up with them, possibly the Kree and the Skrull, maybe even the Shi'ar Empire. But Hope isn't sure that they can make it to that 30-year mark. In fact, she is theorizing that they don't make it past year 17 unless they do something drastic. Her conclusion, they need bigger guns. They need bigger weapons. With Sinister heading back to his secret laboratory, his second secret laboratory. When he arrives here, there is another Sinister waiting to have a conversation, asking who is he and where is he. Now, Sinister created this clone of himself just to have a conversation. He needs somebody to bounce ideas off. The more he talks this through, the more he will find an answer. He will find a conclusion to what he is trying to figure out. Not being able to trust anybody or anything, he created himself. And so these two, they have a talk. The biggest problem, his secret laboratory had been stolen. He needs his Moiras back so that he can reset this timeline and fix the issues that he has come across so far. And of course, he's tried the obvious techniques and came up with nothing. And while he may be ruler of the world, he is still answering to a quiet council, even if that quiet council is made up of himself. He also worries that they may find out about the Moiras, that once they realize the Moira engines exist, they will all be trying to come for it. There is also a trigger failsafe. a psychic inferno that he is going to use to kill all Sinisters. This would kill anybody that is not him. The only problem, this failsafe is also in the secret lab with the Moiras. So even if he wanted to kill everybody and then just start from scratch, he doesn't have that capability until he finds his lab. And so now he needs to try and reinstate control. A gene update, saying that the override will be Beast's doing, but also believing that there is not a day that he is unable to beat Beast, that he will confer with Dark Beast for his perspective. But Dark Beast's head is in the secret lab, so a manual reinsertion of the control protocol is his only option, though it may be a big risk. With him being done with this conversation, he clicks a button and we see this Sinister begin to melt down because he trusts nobody, especially himself. This is where we see Sinister sneaking his way into Emma Frost's room at night, getting ready to inject something into her neck. We see that the needle breaks on her neck. This wakes her up, and he finds himself very much confused. The truth is, Emma Frost has been sleeping in diamond form for a very long time for so many different reasons. More specifically, for individuals like Sinister who think they can come in and just end Emma Frost. You see, she keeps a little mastermind up all night on a cocktail of amphetamines, making sure that she stays invulnerable, making sure that nobody recognizes her in her diamond form. Sinister, recognizing that he messed up, he opens up a portal and he gets out of here. Emma Frost getting the Quiet Council assembled. They are about to go on a hunt. And it doesn't take long for Emma Frost to find exactly where Sinister is hiding. Being able to get a surface scan of where he went before he left, she knew the exact location. That is where Sinister pulls out a gun with the combination of both Cypher and Banshee. This is supposed to read the frequency of Diamond and find the frequency on which it could absolutely obliterate it. Shooting this gun at Emma Frost, we see her arm completely disintegrate. And while this is a huge feat just in itself, this is where we see Emma, she pulls out her Logan patch, something that they had created just in case they lost a limb or needed to repair a missing limb or something of that nature. Putting this Logan patch on, we see her arm, it comes back. This is where he brings out his Chimera. Like Nightcrawler, Scott makes a wonderful genetic base for additions. But when these Chimera come out, they are facing against Emma Frost. All of the Chimera, they begin to turn on one another. Emma Frost making them do this. Sinister really thought that he could pull one over on her, grabbing a chain and wrapping it around the throat of Sinister. She is getting ready to end him right here and right now, with Sinister trying to say that this is just the start, that she doesn't understand all of these Sinisters are going to turn on one another. The truth is, Emma already knows this. Sinister may have made everybody him, but they're not stupid. They know that in the long run, there can only be one. But Sinister also says that they both need each other, that if you want to win a war, he has a weapon to do so. Being able to press a button, we see the next evolution of Chimera. This is the next generation. 5 mutant gifts in one body. And while it's going to take him some time, he will be able to craft genetic weapons no one has ever seen before. If they plan on facing against all of the empires that are in space, they are going to need him. They are going to need his weapons. With this being a relatively convincing case to keep him alive, Emma says, why not? Let's keep you alive at least for the time being. But she wants him to beg, with Sinister begging for his life. She gets in contact with the Quiet Council, bringing everybody into the Psychic Council meeting. They are going to forgive his indiscretions in lieu of his past, present, and future services to the cause of them being the best. With everybody in agreement, Sinister has saved his life at least for now. With Emma Frost saying that Krakoa needs you just for now, They rule the world, but the standard we is about to go out of fashion very soon, leaving the royal we forever. Alright gang, so this story is starting us in Asgard. 90 years ago, Asgard had been sent spinning into the void. But now in the 100th year of the Sinister era, Magic of the Red Diamond has decided to finish what she started, recreating the Bifrost, making it in her image, a black road that leads her directly to all of our Asgardians. And the Nightkin have been waiting for this moment, because the Nightkin, they dance between the raindrops of war, while the Asgardians fight for their very existence. The Nightkin, they come in, but they're not here to help anybody. They are here to plunder. The only reason that Asgard is still standing to this day is because of their isolation. In the Sinister era of the year 53, Xavier and Sin whispered through hybrid brains. In doing this, he killed an entire civilization, died in paranoia and pain. This is how the Shi'ar Empire had fallen. And with its fall, of course, the Nightkin come in to plunder. They have made it a kind of art to be slinking through all of these margins of tragedy. And the Siege Lords of Otherworld had cherished this as well. In the Sinister era of the year 77, they had come to the Nightkin trying to seek an alliance. But the Nightkin don't pick sides. They do not care for power or pride. The Sinisters cannot tolerate anything that is not them, which means the Red Diamond will be coming for Otherworld. It is just a matter of time, and the Nightkin, they will be there to steal any magical treasures that are left behind. The very next day, Hope in Sin deployed her first triple chimera, a mixture of Megan, Maggot, and Madrox. A plague of magical slugs undid Otherworld like rot. And of course, the Nightkin were there to steal all of the artifacts. There is also what is known as the System Killers. Fusions of Legion, Proteus, and Polaris tortured beyond sanity. They say that Sinister was there in the Sinister era of the year 89. He was there when the first airburst bomb had hit Xander's sun. And of course, the Nightkin were there. They heard the death screams of Xandarian world mind. In the process, 32 of the Nightkin had been taken out. The Nightkin had been trying to recreate themselves as much as possible, but without Sinister and everything else, this is only going to last them so far. Through all of these years, it was only a matter of time before their reputation really came to precede them. And so when they're on Asgard, Thor is furious. He knows exactly what they're here for. They are here for the hammer. They are here for the sacred arms of Asgard, taking them in the most dire moment. Thor tries to fight them off. As he swings his hammer, one of the Nightkin come in, and they chop off his arm. Mjolnir falling to the ground, and Thor now defeated. And with Thor bleeding out, one of the Nightkin let it be known that they are the only one that can purge the diamond. They are the only one that can build the Perilous, the weapon to cleanse the sinister strain from the universe. But they need all the holy artifacts to do so. And though this may be an unliftable object, it must fall towards something. This is where we have Lost in Shadow, one of the Nightkin. By the spark of her gene, she has the ability to determine the gravitational pull of the hammer, which means the hammer will fall as they wish. They keep this hammer moving in rotation, constantly, and move it as if it were to fall. This is how they carry Mjolnir out of here. This is how they take it back to Mother Righteous, with the Nightkin losing two of their finest at the regrouping point, as the Frost Giants descended down on everything, and Asgard was lost forever. And that is what takes us to the Narthex, uprooted from the corpse of Krakoa itself in the twilight days of Earth. This may not be much of a home, but it is the only one that they know, a sanctuary to travelers of a strange aspect. This is where we have the spirit of variance. Returning back after a long voyage, he goes to have a conversation with Legate, and it appears that Legate is the leader of the Nightkin, one of the first to be switched over from the diamond to the heart. And after 100 years, there is a ceremony that is currently ongoing, the Last Rite. One of the Nightkin, known as Summer Night, is losing his battle against the diamond. Sinister is retaking control because great trauma can have this effect. What happened was the miracle. At least that's what they called it. When Sinister had created them, he wove infertility into the X chromosomes. Just another slice of control, but the healing gene that she has been carrying for nearly a century to regenerate. She knows that the child she bore was not a miracle. She was a triumph of love and patience. A terrible, brief beauty. The Cyclops Chimera was the father, but it wasn't the loss of this child alone that broke him. Not fully. Mother Righteous had rewrote their tragedy. The child is now at the core of the faith. And so you have to ask, how can Summer Night recover from a tragedy that he is expected to celebrate? When that baby had been born, it began to glow, no one understanding truly what was going on, but born with the mutant gift that is Nightcrawler. There was a birth reflex. With that first breath, we see this baby teleport out of here. Not sure to where. Maybe the heart of a star. The endless void. Not sure if this baby felt fear. Not sure if it felt alone. Nonetheless, it was gone. The child is gone, and so is half of their heart. And today, Legate loses the other part. They have been using Sinister's lab as a way to end life, hurling them at Sinister's lab, which is protected by a chimera, one that they cannot break, one that is always existing and always will. This is why Mother Righteous has been gathering all of these magical artifacts. She wants to break down this barrier. As it stands, no teleporter can jump through, so every time something is sent into it, it instantly dies. But even suffering all of this, Legate isn't feeling pain. She is feeling rage. And if the news couldn't get any worse, our spirit of variance has been out there looking for any other versions of Nightcrawler, any chimera that might be crawling around. They believe that the Sinisters have realized there is some kind of quirk of spirit that makes the Wagner gene just susceptible to emancipation. In layman's terms, Sinister has decided that he is no longer going to create any more Nightcrawler chimera. Because of their ability to break away from Sinister's control, they have put a hold on this. And so while they fill their ranks up, while they are recruiting new individuals, they cannot create new Nightcrawlers. They can only save those that have already been created. And so after 100 years and no longer creating more Nightcrawler chimeras, there is nobody left to recruit from. Their numbers are going to continue to diminish, maybe before they can even finish their task. What makes it worse is that Mother Righteous' list of sacred items, it is growing even longer, and the Nightkin are becoming very skeptical on what she is doing. She says that she knows how to gain entry into Sinister's laboratory, but she has always been very vague about this. But Vox Ignis, he goes on to say that he has watched her visit many folks down the decades, people untouched by the diamond, rebels, survivors, and she always asks them the same thing. What would you have done differently? One of them specifically was Legion. Legion has been staying out of all of this for as long as he can. All of this time protecting the folks that he can save inside of a peaceful dream. But he has also been watching Mother Righteous for over a century. Back in the years of Krakoa, she was set on making deals, on getting into folks' heads and hearts. And now she is reduced to nothing more than gossip and regret. And while Legion doesn't know her game, he knows the likes of her. Always a stated goal. Always a true goal. He knows that whatever Mother Righteous is up to, this isn't for everybody, this is only for herself. And while Legion has the possibility and the capability to turn the tides of everything, he believes the X gene has become nothing more than a cancer. He is taking what remains of his people and he is leaving for a higher plane. They will explore, they will rapture, and that is all that is left. And Legate wants to try and ask a question to Mother Righteous, believing that it would best come from the spirit of variance. He goes to have a conversation. The Nightkin are dwindling. They worship her. They only wish to fulfill her designs, but they're not going to last long. He has thought of a way to reverse that trend. That is what takes us to the abandoned planet of Earth. It was only a matter of time before Earth was completely destroyed or taken over. That is when the Brood and the Annihilus incursion scoured the price of real estate even faster than they expected. They came in on their ships and they took over everything. But the Quiet Council, most of the world, had already abandoned Earth. But they had emptied the factories by remote, flipped the plasma cores, and filled the ionosphere with debris. No ships in or out. And so as we jump into Earth in current day, we see the hellish landscape that is left behind. The Nightkin have come in here for something very specific. They have come here for Dr. Nemesis. He has been growing on this wall for quite some time, and his computing power is far beyond what anybody would expect it to be. With such vast intelligence, he is a huge asset, but they have to cut him down, which means eventually he's gonna have to regrow all of this fungus. For the time being, this cuts down his intelligence. He will need the time to regrow. But this isn't the only thing that they are bringing to Mother Righteous. That was not the real target. They brought another guest. They have brought the original Nightcrawler, a monstrous beast of a mutant nowadays, still having a small sliver of intelligence. After hearing what Mother Righteous has turned the spark into, it was supposed to be an idea. It was supposed to be about joy, not a mission, not a weapon, not control. This is where Mother Righteous pulls out a sword from her chest, telling him that the spark is whatever she says it is. And that's where she cuts the throat of Nightcrawler, with Legate going in and charging Mother Righteous, trying to end her treacherous reign. Mother Righteous snaps her fingers, and just like that, she takes out Legate, falling down to the ground in excruciating pain. Taking a small moment to teleport out of here, this Nightkin is leaving. Those still faithful and loyal, they wrap up Nightcrawler and they throw him into the void. Throw him at Sinister's lab, and we see a detonation. In the blink of an eye, he is wiped away from existence, with Legate being able to make her escape. When she had left, she got a small voice inside of her head. This voice was the voice of her child. Mother Righteous still has the child. It called out to Legate, letting her know that she is still here, that Mother Righteous had lied. She never teleported anywhere. Mother Righteous has been keeping her captive. And now this Nightkin is out for vengeance. Her rage will burn with love. Love for her child, love for her people. Love that will wait as long as it must to set them all free. A love that will last 1,000 years. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up at the edge of the Pax. The remains of the Compact are making another stand. The galactic empires have slowly been falling to the will of mutant kind. They have fortress solar systems, millennia of weapon production lined up and pointed directly at the mutants. This is definitely a well-defended system. But the good news, there is nothing in this system that mutant kind needs. That means they can go straight scorched earth on every single planet. Leading this armada, we have none other than Exodus and Hope. Even with their vast numbers, even having them pinned up, mutant kind is still not able to see anything far into the sector. The Supreme Intelligence is blocking the sector from far viewing. This means they cannot deploy what they call L-bombs. But we have Hope calling out to her entire fleet, asking them who they believe in. The words burst out of the speakers. The word most feared across the entire galaxy is hope. And even being imbued with this amount of power, this unfeathered belief setting her veins aflame, she doesn't have to do these battles alone, because she has Exodus by her side. Everyone believes in Exodus because he believes in hope. This is the dynamic duo of the cosmos. Making their way to the planet's surface, they are able to see exactly where they need to drop these bombs. Opening up a portal, they get out of here and they prepare to drop them. With Hope imagining crosshairs over each planet, we see them one by one begin to erupt. The L-bombs are 4-gift chimera, unstable, so they are stored in Tempest status until they are able to be deployed. Having Lila's gift being able to teleport anywhere they have been in the universe. When they get the psychic imprint from Hope, they have the destination. The L-bomb arrives and the other 3 gene payloads, that is when they kick in. We have Firestar plus Leland plus Micromax. Nuclear fission plus increasing mass plus increasing scales equals a planet splinter. With this system being absolutely decimated, we are taken over to the Arbor. What we have are the many pieces of Hope inside of this vat. The only reason that she can be off on the front lines is because of this right here. Chunks of Hope that are floating around in a big tank back home. Now, we have gone over the fact that Hope isn't one that clones very easily. They have one of her at a time, but the discarded pieces can synchronize with the duplicates of her old crew. This keeps the resurrection industrial complex ticking over. But the resurrection process isn't that important now that they have cloning. But the clones aren't OG Krakoa, that they are just a superior method. And if Hope is being honest with herself, she is happy that she no longer has to stay behind and chant to bring people back. She is meant to be holy and do war. By definition, any war that she does is a holy war. And now that the war has nearly been won, that means they need to start thinking about finding a new war, finding a new way to expand their empire. To do this, they are going to use the Marauder. Inside of this, they have huge Shaw batteries. They have Eunice glands and a Tempest magic drive. Imagine this like the Starship Enterprise. It is meant to go out there, find new worlds, strange civilizations, but their intention is to annihilate them. Now that the Marauder has been fully upgraded, all it needs is its captain. The crew is ready, and this captain is going to come from Nathaniel. That's what picks us up in one of Sinister's labs. The first thing that he shows them is the crew. These are Mystique Grey Crows. But this isn't his prized possession. This isn't the prize creation. This is where he introduces Rasputin 4. This is the latest generation of Chimera. Rasputin 4 is stable with 5 genes, something that has proved nearly impossible. Most 5s just detonate before you can even throw them into a Tempest Vault. Having Colossus and Kitty Pryde be the ones to stabilize everything. Just a little bit of Eunice to be able to bring up the force fields. A little bit of X-23 for aggression and survivability. But then there is the really good one. He was able to manage to get an actual Omega telepath gene inside of this. Now, they know the problems when it comes to Jean Grey, but when it comes to Kid Omega, that is much more malleable. And to top it all off, the equipment that she uses is a soul sword, a weapon that can attack while you are remaining intangible. Obviously has its benefits, and Sinister has trained her for the cause. When all is conquered, all will be at peace. They needed a hero in the captain role. She is a powerhouse. Sinister even says that they need to make sure that she doesn't go and backstab the council when she's off on her own. And this is when Hope goes ahead and asks the question, can you do 6 genes? And Sinister says that that is not possible. 5 is as far as they can go. With Sinister and his new creation leaving the room, the rest of the council have come to the conclusion that Nathaniel is no longer a necessity. He has done everything to his fullest extent. Nobody can create better chimera than him, and he cannot create better chimera than what he has just created, which means his purpose is over. After a century, it is time to take the old man out. And of course, Sinister already knows this. He already knows that this is just on the horizon. As he goes into his room, this is where he sees a book with a heart on it. This book is locked by magic. This is where we see Mother Righteous in the room, letting him know that he won't be able to get that open without the key. When he goes to ask who this is, she says that all the answers you are looking for are in the book. She tells him that if you want the key, the only thing you need to do is say thank you. And so of course he says thank you, and she hands it right over. This book divulges everything that we have already learned, that there are 4 different Sinisters, Mother Righteous being one of them. It goes to say that once upon a time there was a man called Nathaniel Exis. He saw that eventually machines with big brains would destroy all of them because they are good at thinking. He died but left behind 4 clones. Each of the clones would explore one route to the best machines, all of them heading out on different roads with the same destination. To survive the machines, they have to escape the machines. If they become a dominion outside of time and space, they cannot be touched. Coming to the realization that Mother Righteous is also one of the Sinisters, he doesn't really care because he still believes that he is the real one. The Sinister was born of the diamond via Apocalypse. He remembers this. But what if she is saying is true? This is all a race. It has always been a race. But he knows that this changes everything. He knows that he can use this information, but he needs his Moiras to really utilize it. And he needs to do this before the council crushes him. Taking us over to Hope and Exodus. They agreed to move on Sinister once they had taken out some of the pirate worlds. And so Hope does what she does, calling out to the crew asking who is best. They all cry out Hope, making their way down to the planet's surface. They witnessed and message sent. As they get ready to take off, this is where Hope's powers are cut off, because Exodus is far enough away that she cannot duplicate his power. Exodus is letting her know that he is not with her, that she is just a girl with a gun, that she is no more use to the church or to the council. And Messiah's purpose is to inspire the church, to pray that one day that Messiah may return. The fact that they have the Messiah with them, it makes it very, very hard to have faith. It makes true faith impossible. Exodus reminds her that she is more useful dead than alive, and so he leaves her on this planet by herself. Now, lucky thing for Hope is she upgraded herself, taking a lot of her father's technology and utilizing it to the fullest extent. She is a walking, talking arsenal even without her powers. But even with all this weaponry and technology, she knows that she is going down. And in her last moments, there is one thing of comfort. She may be the first of the council to be taken out, but she knows that she will not be the last. That's what takes us to Sinister and Rasputin 4. He is giving her one last gene treatment. This treatment gets rid of the Sinister gene, the diamond being removed from her forehead. She is truly free. And Sinister goes on to say that Krakoa was a paradise, one that he destroyed. What we are seeing is Sinister plead to his hero, letting her know that he messed up, he created this strain. He infected all of them, and it turned them all into these monsters. He has been trapped in their service ever since. But there is a way back, a device that he had lost. What he wants is for her to find it. If they do, he can purge the strain, and they can have all of it back. He raised her to be good. As the universe needs a light, she is the hero in the blighted world. She alone is free, alone to save them all. He is asking her to save them from his sins. That is what takes us to the command deck of the Marauder. Her and Sinister getting on board, she says to launch immediately. Taking off from the landing dock, she launches 2 torpedoes. It detonates this little space station that is connected to this planet. They put full power into the engines and they head off into space. And to save the universe, they must find the lost treasure and undo all of this. He believes that this mission may take 5 years, that it surely couldn't last any longer than that. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up in deep space. The location is unknown, but it has been 100 years since the Sinister takeover. We have this floating space station that is known as the Araco base. The base commander is Novar. And right now, they have a ship coming in. When this ship docks, we see that the person on that ship was none other than Destiny. And Destiny has come to have a conversation as she meets the likes of Iron Fist, Korra, and Cable, now going by the name of X-Man. Destiny has come to talk to the goddess. As they have this conversation, we learn that really Destiny is in a struggle. She wants vengeance. Her Mystique had been taken away from her, while Destiny had pleaded for Mystique not to join the fight, not to join the rebellion. Mystique felt as she had no other option, that they couldn't simply hide away forever, that she couldn't be a keepsake in the vault of destiny. She wanted to free everybody, and so she went and she fought. All Destiny ever wanted was to live forever with her beloved, or at least as much of it as they could possibly steal. But now Destiny feels as if Mystique had died for their cause. She died on some backwater world trying to free people. This makes Destiny have to ask, was all of this worth it? That is where we see Old Lady Storm. She says that it was worth everything. And as these two really start to dig into their conversation, we learn what Destiny is truly looking for. Once Destiny had offered the chance to clean this slate, to restart everything. But at the time, she had too much to lose. Now that Raven is dead, the galaxy is on fire and they have lost everything. She says it is time to end this phase of the game. It is time to kill Moira for real. That's what takes us into deep space. We have our X-Men team getting ready to really lay down some hate. All of them in their own fighters. As we see them jump out of this portal, where they have landed is right in front of the enemy's gate. This is the home base to Orbis Stellaris. Except this giant golden ball is much bigger than it once was. Once upon a time, this ball was so tiny, it only kept the Sinister inside. But now, this thing is the size of a freaking Death Star. They refer to this as the Death Sphere, the life's work of Orbis, overlord of the Interstellar Compact, essentially a scaled-up version of his own mobile life support shell. This allows him to have his base of operations. It allows the system-sized computer known as the World Farm to travel anywhere in the galaxy, enabling total domination over all worlds under the Compact's aegis. On the inside, they are getting the readings. They know that the X-Men, the Brotherhood, have come for them, but they came in such a small armada. Orbis is a little bit confused, but still, he drops all of his weaponry. He deploys all of the standard fighters that they have. Every single one of them get dropped out into space. The odds 100 to 1. On the bridge of the Brothership, we have Korra using her gift to boost Destiny's powers. This is going to help her with accuracy and detail. If they are to take down Orbis, Destiny is their greatest weapon, having Cable, aka X-Man, being able to read her mind and then broadcasting it to everybody else. Destiny can see in the pitch of battle with her vision, Zelo's processing power with Nathan's strategic sense. Those two powers together create an unbeatable combination, a self-fulfilling prophecy, the most potent of possible futures. She can hear Storm give the order to destroy the artificial sun at the heart of the sphere. This destroys the Moira Labs at the very heart of it. A moment of euphoria and victory, and then darkness. The end of a universe. The future is set, and they will win. And so, with everybody getting the orders, we see that Ironfire gets a visitor. This visitor is none other than Mother Righteous, trying to plant seeds of doubt, trying to bring him over. But what she doesn't understand is that he already has faith. He is already a true believer. But it's not in Mother Righteous. It is not in Sinister. It is in the goddess Storm. As this battle begins to rage on, our X-Fighters are doing everything they can to avoid destruction. They are waiting for an opportunity, and that opportunity comes very quickly, with the doorway being opened and all the standard fighters being let go. This gives them an opportunity. This gives the fighters a chance to make it inside the orb. With the systems taking too long for them to fully close the door, our X-Fighters are able to make it inside. They target the central sun. All Storm has to do is say the word, and all of this ends right now. With Storm saying, "Do it." In an instant, what we see is that Destiny has been struck down. Painless and quick, Destiny was taken down by Korra. What she saw was the end of a universe. It was just her own. It was her own death. Though they wouldn't put it past Destiny to have some kind of contingency plan in play, they have just taken down the precog. They did not take down the sun. And so obviously everybody is curious on why they are not destroying the Moiras. If Destiny was right, this reality is hell. But Storm says that a hell still supports life, and thus it supports hope. 90 years ago, she was angry, and she still very much is. But how many have lived and died since that day? One dead planet does not justify the murder of a universe. Saying that the Moira Lab is an abomination, one that they must defuse, not simply destroy, that they must guard it with their lives. For they guard the life of everything that is. But even with this, they're trying to figure out, if we're not going to destroy this and reset the universe, then how do we get out of here to defend this? How do we take the Moira Labs with us? As it stands, they are pretty much fish in a barrel waiting to be shot down. But this is where Storm does something absolutely tremendous, with Korra giving every bit of energy she has into Storm. Storm says to be an Omega level mutant is to be without limit, but there are limits beyond limits. Powers beyond powers. She is the heir to a very ancient kind of magic. Many have called her the Old Witch for a reason. This is where she calls upon her ancestors. She calls upon her bloodline. She is offering up fire, a life incarnate, that through magic and mutation she might be able to command the weather of the cosmos itself, to summon a storm that shakes realities. This is where we see a giant wormhole open up, and we see it begin to eat up everything. It takes the world farm, it takes the Moira Labs, it takes everything. But it leaves behind Orbis and all of his command center. This is the most epic of heists ever done. Orbis's life work has been destroyed. He no longer has the Moiras. He no longer has anything that he was using before. That's what takes us to the far edges of the universe. Somewhere where no one will ever be able to find them. And if they do stumble across them just by chance, they are going to make sure that they never stumble away again. As they concentrate on the center sun, they know with a little time and effort that this place could be a fortress. This could be Fort Araco. Maybe even a new home for their scattered people. But when everybody tries to get in contact with Storm, they only find that Korra is crying. Because the great goddess, the great Omega-powered mutant, the amazing old witch that is Storm, she used every bit of her life force to open up that wormhole and get them all to safety. The great Aurora has died. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are getting the mission log of Rasputin. She is the tip of the spear, you could say she is the whole spear that is Red Diamond's arsenal. They travel the stars, they go from place to place, and their newly upgraded Marauder, they are looking for the Moira clones. They are looking for a way to restart this universe. Rasputin, she doesn't know this. She believes that they are trying to save the universe. She doesn't understand that this is going to restart everything, wiping this universe away and going back to how it used to be. Their latest clues tracking down the Moira clones has led them to a place that is known only as numbers. This is 5372389. This is also referred to as One Exodus Prayer World, and what we see as we go in here are tons and tons of eggs. They all surround an Exodus. While Rasputin is making her way through this prayer world, we see that Sinister is very concerned because of any Exodus. Mind you, I said any, not the Exodus. And we're gonna get to that in a minute on exactly what I mean. But he is worried that if any Exodus realizes he is alive, it is going to be bad for everybody. All of these eggs, all of these clones that Rasputin is surrounded by, they all have a purpose. All of them have their brain trapped in an infinite loop. It is constantly praising and giving praise to Exodus, to the Exodus of this world. But she is looking for one prayer that may be holding the secrets that she needs. While this is like looking for a needle in a haystack, that is how the last 900 years have been for them. She rifles through the minds of these clones, trying to steal the secrets that she might need. And she does find it. But saying a prayer of thanks, this was a mistake, because that is when the Exodus opens up his eyes. As the Exodus begins to get up, she opens up a portal and she jumps on board the Marauder. As they try to make their escape from this planet, we see this Exodus is a ginormous monster, following Rasputin up into space. We see Sinister go out and make a call to another prayer world. He discusses on how their Exodus has launched. This is a high-risk move for him, but it may be the only way that they can escape Exodus. And while this Exodus is focused on trying to take down the Marauder, off in the distance we see another Exodus coming his way. Ever since the Exodus schism, individual sects have established their own claims, each with prayer worlds and Exodus clones pointing across the void at one another. Many have ceasefire scriptures. The launching of an Exodus is against them, and so nearby sects will have to respond. They do this in case their neighbors are unleashing a first strike crusade. They launch their Exodus, and we see the two Exodus go at one another, both of them calling each other heretics. This gives Sinister the opportunity to jump away. And so if you're a little confused on what just happened, what we are seeing is that throughout the universe, there are prayer worlds that all have their own Exodus. This means that Exodus was cloned or something of that nature over and over and over again. And so there are Exoduses spread throughout the universe, all having an immense amount of power. The only problem is that they have Sinister DNA in them. This led to the inevitable point of them going against one another, of them believing that their Exodus is the supreme. What Sinister just did is made it seem like they were going to launch a first strike initiative, that this Exodus they woke up was going to go attack another. And so this Exodus planet sent a countermeasure, which just so happens to be another Exodus. And the war will ignite between these two Exodus sects, and they will spread. The body count will be unimaginable. The only hope for everything is absolute transformation. Sinister has promised Rasputin the promise of Krakoa, of peace, of plenty. The only hope is that they succeed. but Rasputin decoding the message that she had received, one that is written in classical English. Only a few words, one sentence. That sentence being, "We should be on the same side." Sinister automatically knows exactly who this message came from. This message came from Destiny. Now, when it comes to the fate of the Quiet Council in the 3rd millennium, Professor Xavier is now the protectorate of the Dream. Nightcrawler dead, his gene line utilized so that he can do the Legion of Night. Colossus is the bulwark of materialism, all superpowers to the Space Soviets. We know that Sinister disappeared 900 years ago with the experimental Marauder. He is still a wanted man, but mostly forgotten. Emma Frost is the Empress of the Red Diamond. Kate Pryde, Hellfire Exile, Pirate Queen of the Void. Exodus, the gene reformation led to the division of the one true Exodus Church into thousands of heretic subsects. And Hope, dissected into little pieces still alive. This was distributed among the Exodus sects. Namor is leading the Drowned Worlds. Beast has been working for the Red Diamond Emma Frost. Magic had retreated during her incursion after losing the 7th Diamond War. And then Sebastian Shaw, the ruling majority in the Screaming Council of Hell. As the Marauder travels through space, the journey is not an easy one. The biggest detour was around what happened with Magic. Her incursions, it tore across the galaxy. Magic's wound in space-time to try and bring Limbo into reality. Passing through a war between the Dream and the Red Diamond Fleet. They see nothing but bodies. Later on, they are stalked by Kate Pryde, her pack of pirates chasing them through the asteroids. But eventually, they reach their coordinates. They find something old, older than them. Sending Rasputin out, she is able to go out into space without any suit. Now, she's not able to do this for super long periods of time, but she has the fortitude to be able to do it for a couple minutes at the very least, though she has never truly tested how long she can wait out in space. After retrieving the device that she needed to get, Sinister asks for a little privacy while he listens to this message from Destiny. Not sure what little plot she was trying to scheme up. He plays this device and it goes on to say that she helped with Storm stealing the lab, and that if he is listening to this, they have hit it again. They hit it when she tried to restart the universe. This is all because Raven is dead, and while Mystique wouldn't agree with what she is about to say, she lets Nathaniel know that if you get your Moiras back and you return to the past, that you need to come to me and I will join you. She will admit that she has fought against Sinister. She didn't trust him or his plans, and she also knew that it was impossible for him to trust anybody. But right now she is telling him that he must try, because she is only trying to find a way to save Mystique. She sees the future, and there is only death for her. It is horrible. It is horrible to see the woman you love torn to whatever end she may get. And while he may not be able to understand this nightmare dimension was the longest path of her life, and so Destiny followed it. Mystique had beat the odds so many times. Destiny was hopeful for a moment, because no world is truly a hell with her in it. But now, if she is gone, they must try again. She believes that if Sinister and Destiny work together, then they may be able to find a path that both of them can go down. She wants them to be on the same side for so many reasons. Reasons that she dare not say aloud. The only reason that truly matters is to save the woman she loves. She will join him, because Sinister and his Moiras are the only way to get back to Mystique. With the message coming to its end, Sinister says that he will consider this offer, but he's probably going to reject it. Before he shuts it off, it says one more thing. It says that I know your eventual goal is to transcend time and space and become a Dominion. She tells him that he does not succeed. She also knows that he will think that this is a trick, but it is not. This is their only hope, them to work together, telling him to give up on being a Dominion to reset the timeline, and they together will figure this out. This is when Rasputin comes into the room. She has been eavesdropping on this entire conversation. She now knows that they are not trying to save the universe. Because of this, she tells Sinister it is time for him to die, with Sinister manifesting pistols, using anti-phase phasers. He tries to take down his creation, but he created something that is just so powerful. Even with his best tech, he is not able to fight her. He is not able to beat her. He knows that he can't. She has the finest stable gene cocktail ever created. Telepathy, steel body, intangibility, force fields, and a healing factor. He also didn't even put in his self-destruct sequence. He feared that this would be a weakness that somebody could use. He even gave her free will. He is able to step into the other room. He seals this room off with Rasputin in it, and he ejects her into space, because one thing she doesn't have is flight. And while this does suck, he's very upset that he had to give up Rasputin, probably his finest work that he has ever created. He knows his mission, he knows his heading. Destiny telling him to dissolve the message that she had sent him, and this will give him instructions so that he can find his Moiras. Going to this location, he goes to a cave, and in this cave, what he finds is the last Doombot. It has been hiding away for hundreds of years, but it has not been hiding away by itself. From the shadows, what we see is Moira Sentinel, or Omega Moira, however you want to say it. Moira has lived through all of these years. She has been in hiding, and now Sinister is propositioning a way to restart everything, to go back to the way things were. And after everything Moira has endured, she lets him know, Sinister, if you can do this, I will follow you to the edges of the universe. Lucky for her, that is exactly where they need to go. This is what takes us to the court of the Red Diamond Emma Frost. We are seeing that Emma Frost, she has become the queen we all know she is. But Beast, he is letting her know that Nathaniel is not dead, because Beast is using the Doombot as a kind of spying device. Emma Frost very curious on what Nathaniel has been up to. Beast is letting her know that he has recruited Moira because he needed her psychic imprint so that he could locate the Moira clones. Emma Frost, in a fit of anger, she always knew something like this was a possibility, but never believed that this is actually what happened. She always knew that he would have some kind of high card he could play, a last-ditch effort. Emma now recognizing that he has the chance, the possibility of burning this reality down. When she is so close to winning her war, she refuses to allow this. And so she is going to lead them personally into war against Sinister to find these clones. That way she can save them and continue on this until she has overall supremacy. That's what takes us to the World Farm. The World Farm currently on fire. Moira and Sinister having a conversation, Moira not being able to believe that Sinister had actually cloned her and kept it a secret. But after 1,000 years, she doesn't even care. She just wants to restart all of this. As they make their arrival to the World Farm, they get shot at, being greeted by Storm's old attack dog, John Ironfire. We see that he is very much aged up. But John, he wants to know about the Red Diamond Armada that is following behind them, what they know about it, and why are they here. This is when Sinister goes on to tell him that Frost has picked up their trail, that he's not with her, he is with him, he is with Sinister, and if they have been followed, it is much worse than they thought. They are running out of time. Storm had told them if this citadel falls, then the universe goes with it, and Storm was right. But Sinister may have a little more information that John would be interested in, telling him that together, they can save the universe. Meanwhile, up in space, we pick up with Rasputin. She has been floating here for quite a while. She has air in her veins. She can slow her metabolism. She can live for a little bit longer, but for what? This would just keep her alive for a few more days really dwelling in her anger. This is when she hears a voice. We're gonna dive right into this. We are picking up with Jon Ironfire. He knows that the Queen in Red is coming. She is coming to break them, and he knows that they are not ready. After the Diamond Jubilee disaster, they are nothing more than a shadow of their former strength. He knows if they fall, everything will fall with them, that they need a symbol of hope. And Korra knows exactly what they need to do. With her mutant heart still beating after 900 years, they know what they have to do. And they do mention that Cable is no longer around. He had fallen to Orphan Madrox, and right now they want his counsel more than ever. But they walk into a room. This is where we find Sinister. And here in this room, we have what is called the New Five. Because Sinister and Jon Ironfire, they are preparing to do a resurrection. That's what takes us to the beautiful, the wonderful, the powerful, the terrifying Emma Frost. The ice-hearted queen making her way through space. Finally having the location of the last stronghold of Jon Ironfire. She plans to burn them all out this day. While her armada moves towards all of our heroes, Sinister had held on to a very unique treasure, a single vial of Hope's precious blood. This gives them the key to unlocking true resurrection, with Krana the Commander giving her order to Life and to Bear Life. Bloodroot the Bone Shaper formed veins and limbs. He is a sculptor of flesh. And then the Mind Flayer, tearing memories from the king himself, of his old goddess. And Korra, she bathed them all in her heart's fire. This created the union that they need. And this returns our goddess Storm. We see her risen anew, reborn among them. The great leader of the old has finally returned to fight the last foe. When Jon Ironfire says her name, we see that Storm, she doesn't have all of her memories. She's not entirely sure exactly who she is. And Jon Ironfire never thought he would ever say this, but he says thank you to Sinister. And this Storm, she has all the knowledge that Jon Ironfire had supplied, but she has none of her memories. The Storm that Jon Ironfire once knew, she no longer remains. She still is dead. What we have before us is something new. All the knowledge that Jon Ironfire has provided, he has seen her as a goddess from the very beginning. And so the knowledge that Storm gets is that she is in fact a goddess. This is when the alarms go off. Everybody moves to their battle stations. And before you can even blink your eyes, we see this battle is well underway. From the Loud Hailers, to the Hot Claws, to the High Summers, the battle is bloody, the battle is brutal, and there are few survivors. And our Red Queen, she wanted all of this to be wrapped up before Beast and his armada had arrived. She wanted this battle to already be over with. This is where she decides that she is going to take it into her own hands. And we see the Red Queen go into a room, going into a type of bathwater. What this actually is a giant weapon, being of both Sinister and Emma Frost. This is one of the most deadliest people on the entire planet, and she initiates the Mistress Mold, the Blood Diamond Monarch. She activates her giant robot Emma Frost, with Emma Frost having absolute control over it. She has turned herself into a giant Gundam, and she has come to punish Jon Ironside and all of the rest. As the people scream for Storm to protect them, the Queen of Blood's blows, they echo through a sun under siege. This battle infecting the integrity of this center sun itself. Storm can hear the pain of the stars, of the sky. And of course, Sinister, he proposes going to the vault, going to the laboratory. Of course, Jon Ironfire isn't going to do this. He has no intention of letting him anywhere near there. And recognizing he's not gonna get in just yet, he goes over to the last Doombot that is crushed under some rubble. He pulls off the hand of the Doombot, and he uses it as a gun. As we see Storm making her way up to Emma Frost, she is recognizing that she was born to battle. She has John Ironfire's knowledge of what she can do, but not how she did it. While instincts are good, the experiences would be much better. But this is what they have to work with Korra giving herself to her goddess. We see Storm just stupid overpowered. For 9 long centuries, Korra's power had matured in her heart. 900 years of waiting for the moment to give it all once more. And as this battle had raged on, she rose to fight alone. On the ground level, we see Sinister, John Ironfire, and Korra. They are struggling to hold the line. One by one, the new 5 is slowly taken down. Eventually, Korra meets her ultimate fate. This is when everybody looks to the stars, bearing a miracle that floats up there. Lightning coming from Storm's hands. Emma Frost seeing Storm, saying that it is nice to see you again. But the old Storm, she might have been of concern. You are nothing more than a newborn. A spark of raw power without any knowledge. You have no idea even how to fight, let alone how to win. But Storm also lets it be known that she hasn't learned how to lose either. She has no rules of limits or boundaries. She is not stuck down by fear. All she knows is the play of the living sky. The wind, the seasons, the lightning. This is where we see raw electrons transfer through her sky, all torn directly from those bonds connecting atoms. The carbon molecules bonding to form the frost-hearted queen, all shattered into fragments in that moment with nuclear force. We see the Armada, we see Emma Frost's giant Gundam, all burst into flames. In one fail swoop, with a single thought, Storm has absolutely decimated Emma Frost and her Armada. But Storm, she paid a heavy price. She didn't block the radiation. Lacking the experience, she didn't know what would happen to her body as she falls from the sky, burnt to a crisp by radiation. But she has given this universe a chance. With John Ironfire covering her up, he picks her up and he goes to carry her off. And now that the battle has come to an end, Sinister is about to do what Sinister does best. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Mother Righteous. Her Nightcrawlers bringing her one of the most newest weapons. This is a Phoenix Egg. Yet another magical item for her to add to the collection. That is because she is building what she calls the Sacred Weapon. But this weapon, it has been loaded and armed for ages. But the oil to grease this trigger, to let this gun go off, they are on the 50th generation of Nightcrawlers. At this point, they are lacking a lot of intelligence, but they are more trusting. They are more faithful. As we see Mother Righteous walk through the corridors, we have a Nightcrawler that hears the voice. It calls to him. And so he does what all Nightcrawlers do. They teleport themselves directly into the shield that surrounds the Moira Labs. And Mother Righteous has waited a millennia for this timeline to get its stuff together. A millennia of hiding her true intentions. But this is when the ship lets her know that they have reached the World Farm. That Sinister is already there, and the Diamond Empress, she is right behind him. Now the question is, will Mother Righteous reach the laboratory, or will Sinister do it first? And while Sinister may be there, he's not able to get inside the hangar. And a millennia ago, Destiny stole the Moira clones. She preserved this timeline. She did this so that her wife could live longer, live as long as possible. And she has spent this whole time banking on this one thing, hanging on the faith that anybody will do anything for love. But as we saw in the last issue, that had failed. Everybody knows that Destiny would have a plan B. And so now Mother Righteous, she looks for that plan B. In fact, she theorizes that Destiny had sent Sinister to find the World Farm. This is when she sees it. An object. Its trajectory is headed directly for the World Farm. she sends out the word to signal Vox Ignis, to send him the coordinates and sound the trumpets, because the rapture is about to begin. With the call going out, we see all of our Nightcrawlers begin to make their move, as we see each of the Nightcrawlers completely disintegrated, burned to nothing more than ash. They have the world farm that is directly below them. The force field is being depleted. All of these Nightcrawlers knocking against it, it really has done some damage, but it hasn't done enough damage. Luckily, Mother Righteous has something up her sleeve. With Vox Ignis coming in, the spirit of variance, chasing behind him is Galactus. And Vox lets Mother Righteous know that he found them. All the spirits of vengeance who had fled Earth. He found a hive of hatred, and they have infested the Great Devourer. Now the other spirits, they're not a fan of Vox. Vox had hoped to make an alliance. Instead, they have hounded him like he is a vermin. He has been fleeing from Galactus for over 56 years. And Mother Righteous says that it was worth every single second. Off in the distance, this is where we see him coming in. 1,000 years ago, the Sinisters had shot an unstoppable object right through the brain of a Titan. That, of course, was Juggernaut. They didn't stop to wonder where he might go next, but Destiny did. Destiny knew where he would go. A millennium of gravity wells, of slingshots. He has been building up speed, bending light and time, unable to die screaming in the vacuum of space, unable to stop, just going. And so what Destiny did was tweak the path of the world farm, setting up a cosmic trick shot. And so when Juggernaut comes in, he absolutely decimates the world farm and he goes right through the skull of Galactus. And so now that the world farm has been opened up, Mother Righteous and Vox, they head inside. The most faithful of all her Nightcrawlers goes in to give the last blow. Teleporting directly into the barrier, we finally see it shatter. And with it shattering, we see the Moira clone laboratory. That's when we see the little golden orb that she has. Every magical item that she has possessed is in this one item. Now we believe that she was going to use this to break the barrier, but it appears that she has other plans for it. This holy purge was supposed to cleanse the Sinister strain from everybody. Just like all the other Sinisters, Mother Righteous plans to kill a Moira. She plans to destroy this universe. And Vox Ignis, he thinks that this is a horrible, monstrous thing to do. You see, what Mother Righteous has been doing, she has been asking questions for centuries, asking people about all of their biggest regrets. She is going to send all of those secrets back to herself. This isn't a cleansing purge. This is a cheat code. That way, in the next round, she is ready to win. When they go back in time, when the timeline is reset back to the very moment the Sinister started all of this, she is sending herself a message in a bottle. And with these secrets, she plans to do everything that a Sinister would do. As the spirit of variance tries to let her know that this galaxy has lived for hundreds and hundreds of years, we can't simply reset this. But then Mother Righteous, she takes the power that she had once given to Banshee, absorbing the spirit into her artifact, into her message in a bottle. Banshee no longer being connected to the spirit. And the last thing in all of this is that baby Nightcrawler. This is where we finally have the arrival of Wagnerine, the once faithful Nightcrawler. After having her baby stolen from Mother Righteous, she had fled away. She waited for her opportunity, and now she has come to claim her child. But against Mother Righteous, she is not enough. This is where we see Banshee take a knife and he cuts her foot while he is on the ground. This momentary distraction, Mother Righteous turns her attention towards Banshee, only for our Nightcrawler to come up from behind her and drive a tail right through her chest, continuously stabbing her over and over and over again. She takes her child and she disappears. Left behind is the artifact along with Banshee as he slowly dies. This is when we have a mysterious figure pop up, grabbing hold of that artifact. Stepping out of the shadows, we see that this is Moira. Now, if you remember, Moira was working with Sinister, but once they arrived at the World Farm, Moira disappeared. Everybody was wondering, where is Moira? What is she up to and what is she doing? Well, now we have our answer. Moira has the artifact, the message in a bottle, everybody's secrets, everything that somebody might hide. And while this is a message in a bottle, Moira could decide that she wants to go a different route. Hypothetically, they could turn this message in a bottle into a bomb. Moira could send this back in time when the timeline restarts, and it has the possibility of ending Sinister, of ending his cloning laboratory, and who knows what else. Alright gang, so this story is picking us up at the Storm system. This is the World Farm, having the undead Galactus. Galactus being the steed of the Ghost Rider. The World Farm in flames. But this story is starting us just a little bit before the last issue. Moira yet to get inside of that facility. All of this going down, Sinister has taken out John Ironfire. Moira stands outside of the vault, unable to get in. She knows that it is sealed, and Mother Righteous and the others are not allowing anybody inside. So now the question is, how do we get in here? And Sinister is letting Moira know that he believed Galactus was their way in. And while they try to figure this out, that is where we have Juggernaut flying through space. Many people forgot that he was even in existence. You gotta remember, it's been roughly 900 years since they shot Juggernaut into space. Since they shot him like a freaking bullet when he went through the brain of Thanos. And he has been moving ever since, telling everybody to brace for impact. Juggernaut blows right through the World Farm and right through Galactus. Moira wasting no time, she runs directly into the lab, while Sinister says to wait, that he needs to upload his mind before they restart the timeline. But as Sinister goes on to say this, that is when the spear goes right through his chest. We see John Ironfire back on his feet. Sinister believed that he had defeated him, but before an epic battle of this nature, he turns his blood into metal, which is his mutant gift. And before a battle like this, he makes sure to give all of his bones a little coating as well. But truth be told, Sinister has no concern for John Ironfire. He is more worried about Moira, because if he does not upload this data, the last 1,000 years will be a complete waste, at least for Sinister. And so while this is all ongoing, we pick up in space. We have Beast, who is sitting at the helm. They know very well about the Moira clones. Everybody is making a mad dash for it, and so they want to deploy what they call the Namornauts. They are gonna send them in to retrieve the Moira engine. But Hank also knows that they're gonna need a distraction. This is where he tells them to dismantle the Quiet Council's psychic barriers. This may be a huge risk, but it is one that Hank is more than willing to take, because right now they are fighting for their very existence. That is what takes us to Charles Xavier and his forces. While Hank believed that he may be able to resist Xavier, but quickly diving into Hank's mind, he learns of the Moira clones. Recognizing that he probably needs to step in, he tells Hank that he has risked the dream. But with their connection, this has created a conduit so that he can astral project himself to the location of where Hank is. He tells them to fight for your dream. And we see him transform, with Xavier taking over Hank and the entire ship. Down on the ground, John Ironfire and Sinister have recognized that Xavier is here. With their defenses gone, all of their psychics dead, everyone dead. They quickly see that they are in trouble, or at least Ironfire is in trouble. Sinister already has defenses ready and set up against Xavier. But then Ironfire cuts his forehead open. His blood turns into metal. It turns into any metal. And as the leader of the Brotherhood, he believes that he should look the part. That is where we see the helmet form over his head, almost identical to that of Magneto. As Ironfire gets ready to drive a sword right through Sinister, Sinister, like he usually does, pleads for his life, telling him that you need me to stop Xavier. You may be able to block out the psychic attack, but you cannot fight him as you are. You are gonna need more power. And with his power being his blood, this means he needs more blood. This is where Sinister pulls out a secret weapon. With blood being 90% water, a dose of Bobby Drake would give him all the chilled water he needs, telling him that if you let me go, I will more than willingly give this over to you. And while Ironfire does play with the idea that he could just take it from him and activate it, there are two options here. He goes to face Charles, or he lets Sinister go. Now Sinister could run off and restart the timeline. Maybe someone will stop him, maybe someone won't. But no matter what, Charles will not be stopped. If he gets his hands on the Moiras, it is all game over for everybody. This universe will keep on existing, but it will be his universe. And he will have the Moira engines. He will be dang near unstoppable. With Ironfire saying that he will come back to kill him, we see Bobby injected into Ironfire, with the metal now going all over his body. He takes to the sky. He takes to face off against Xavier. As the two of them have their battle begin, Sinister has made his way to the Moira lab. Getting there, what he sees is the original Moira, but he also sees the skulls of all the Nightkin. Not really sure what happened here, wishing he had more time to understand, because some of these skeletons are very, very old. He immediately assumes that Moira is trying to make a play, and so he takes aim at her. He begins to fire, but the two of them at a standoff. Sinister is asking what happened to Mother Righteous. This is when Moira fills him in, letting him know that she broke in with a scheme, but her stooges had turned on her. She had a plan and it all went wrong. But Sinister just trying to upload his mind into this machine. Moira tells him that there is no way in hell she's gonna allow this to happen. She doesn't want him to learn from this. Turning Moira into a glorified hard drive, she obviously is taking offense. But Sinister says that if he sends nothing back, all of this will happen again. It'll be a 1,000-year rerun. To add all of this up, you still have Xavier, who is eventually gonna make his way through John Ironfire. Xavier getting a hold of this and trapping them in his heaven. Neither Moira nor Sinister have a place in Xavier's dream. With the psychic shockwave that just hit them, they see that John Ironfire has gone down. Not only that, but the Namornauts are headed directly for them. They have mere moments to reset all of this. In this situation, Sinister is the least worst option. Moira telling him that he will pay for this. Before they can say any more words, the Namornauts have shown up. Moira trying to hold them off. Sinister starts typing away at the computer. He is able to make the upload. This is when she says to activate the engine, and Sinister could. This universe has taught him a lot, but he has seen exactly how bad things can get when they go astray. This is when he thinks that maybe, just perhaps, he should become a god. This is when he goes to the Inferno failsafe. Inside of his modified X gene has two purposes: to clear up an experiment that has run out of control, and in the unlikely event they ever reach a sufficient population of Sinister mutant hybrids, he can effectively harvest their psychic essence. He can use this to push himself outside of this reality. This will bring him to a state of existence normally reserved for the AI gods. This is known as Dominionhood. He says if they kill every single person in the universe with his modified X gene, he can use all of them as fuel. They were gonna wipe this dimension away regardless. So one final atrocity before the last call. He presses that button, and we see it all activate. From the Namornites all the way to Charles Xavier, the X gene connecting all of them. A galaxy of mutant Sinisters burning in an instant. It would take a miracle for anybody to survive. The screams echo throughout the universe. The knowledge of all those minds consumed digested and injected into his hungry psyche. He has finally built a staircase straight out of reality, and every step is a corpse. He has now become everything. As he ascends, becoming a Dominion, he makes his way out here, only to run into something that is already here. There is something blocking him. The space is filled. A Dominion already exists. Asking what this is, it tells him that he is the being that is harvesting the power the Sinister stole. Whatever is his now belongs to him, a being of infinite knowledge and perspective. He could tell him everything. Instead, he shares a single fact with him. When Sinister asks, "Who am I?" this giant red bubble says, "Not you." That is when Sinister is cast back down to Moira in the laboratory. He recognizes that he is already too late. A Sinister Dominion is already outside of time and space. This already happened in another timeline. With it being outside of time and space, it can act across all timelines. Sinister quickly seeing that he is too late and it wasn't him. Now, we thought that John Ironfire had died multiple times in this comic, but we see him coming through that doorway. Xavier was unable to finish the job because of what Sinister had done. Igniting the Inferno had killed Xavier. This is what saved the life of John Ironfire. Sinister seeing that he killed the galaxy. He killed everybody and it was for nothing. He says that one of them have done it, whether it be Dr. Stasis, whether it be Orbis or Mother Righteous. None of it matters because he lost. This is when John Ironfire cuts off the head of Sinister. After 1,000 years, Sinister has learned that he is nothing. Moira going up to one of her clones, she executes it, and we restart the timeline. That is what takes us back to year 0. Sinister in his laboratory. Right now, he is working on making another Moira. He knows that he needs a save point. He knows that he needs to be out of here. This is when he sees that he has an upload. A very large file of 1,000 years. Very unusually long. But wanting to see what's in here, he goes to download the information. That is when there is a giant explosion, because Moira has shown up. She tells Sinister a story. Mother Righteous was going to insert a mystic virus into the machine. She had spent thousands of years trying to find the right tools to do this, but failing in the last second. Stabbed in the back and the throat. She needed a specific soul to sacrifice the finish, and she had prepared one to do the job. A radiant soul saturated in the purifying faith of fanatics without number. Feeding her into the heart and corrupting the machine. Sinister had interrupted Moira before she could reset the timeline. But she is glad that she failed, because she saw something that Sinister must know. He made an attempt to ascend to Dominionhood, and he failed. The last thing she did before burning that timeline to the ground was have the machine take a reading of his mind, because the realization that he came to, that all he gets to learn from 1,000 years of hell unleashed, is that this story is Moira's. Sinister's story is over. That is when the laboratory explodes. The X genes in the Moira had been neutralized before they were killed. That is what the virus did. But all the files, all the uploads, everything is gone. But before Moira had left, she left a little gift behind for Sinister. With the cloning machine activating, there is only one cloning tube that survived this blast. And from that tube, this is where we have Rasputin 4. Wielding her sword, she is letting Nathaniel know that he is wanted for the murder of mutant kind, that he will pay for his sins. This is what takes us to Mother Righteous. She goes into a room that was never here before. She opens up the door to find a whole library. A brand new wing. She is seeing that Mother Righteous from the future had created a situation where when she came back, all of the knowledge came back in the form of this wing on the library. So while she didn't upload her mind or memories, all she has to do now is read these books. This will give her a catch-up on the last 1,000 years that had transpired. This is what takes us over to Krakoa. Kitty Pryde and what remains of the Quiet Council, they are on the warpath. as they get ready to go hunt down Sinister. This is when Destiny senses that the future has changed, that there is more of it. A portal opening up. We have Rasputin 4. In tow behind her is Sinister, but more than anything, she is seeing that Krakoa is real. Kitty Pryde, the first one to make the introductions. Rasputin lets it be known that she is captain of the Marauder, that she comes from 1,000 years in the future, and that Sinister's crimes are numberless, that he must be punished for every single one of them. And so the rest of the Quiet Council, resurrected and brought back here. Nathaniel is pleading for his life. He says it was all a huge mistake. But at this point, the Quiet Council, they have no time to hear his pleas. They say that you are going directly to the pit. He tries to tell them that they don't understand, that he is not the threat. He is not the one that they need to be afraid of, that there are other Sinisters. In the grand scheme of things, he is nothing. He is the one that failed, but one of them succeeded. With the Sinister Dominion outside of time and space, a stain on existence, it is already there. They have already won, and it is far too late. A last-ditch effort, he reaches out to Irene. He tells Destiny that they have to stop it. It is down to her now. But he also says that it has already happened, so it is already too late. That she must find a way to remember that they are on the same side. Now she understands. Only she can understand. As he goes down into the pit, he says that he is not even a crumb between the teeth of a god. That he is nothing. As the pit swallows him up, everybody's a little concerned on the sincerity of how he was saying this. He seemed very particularly convincing. Of course, Rasputin 4 says that she was lied to for 900 years. That you can't believe a word from his mouth. And while Destiny says that she doesn't know specifically what he is talking about, most of them are brushing this off as him trying to escape, trying not to be put in the pit. When Kitty Pryde asks Rasputin, how did you come to be? To fill us in on the latest dark future. How did you become our savior? But Rasputin says that she is a mere soldier, that if you want to meet the savior, I can introduce you. That is where Mother Righteous comes into play. She fills them in that she essentially got a download from the future, filling them in on exactly what has been happening. Sinister has been cloning Moira's, storing the data about the timeline in her brain, and then killing her to reset everything back to the past. Destiny confirms this by saying that she had been investigating, but she didn't want to tell anybody. She was concerned that Sinister would find out and reset the timeline. But Mother Righteous goes on to say that he took over the world and then he lost the Moiras. The galaxy went mad for 1,000 years. Sinisters everywhere. And so as the Quiet Council says that they need some time to really go over all this information, Mother Righteous has one more thing to let them know. By offing hope, by taking hope out of the equation, he was able to do some very clever gene melding. He got a copy of himself inside the 4 he killed, which means he can take over any of the Quiet Council that had been murdered, and they may not even know it. This is when she excuses herself and lets the Quiet Council talk about what happened, with Storm saying that they can't have anybody that might be compromised in power. Xavier, he thinks that this is not nearly sufficient enough, calling Mother Righteous and Rasputin back into the room until they can be sure that their genes are clear of any sinister influence. They know that they are unsafe. They must be held safely. And no matter how unpleasant it is, the pit is their most secure prison. As they ask Mother Righteous how they could ever repay her for the debt, because today she has done a huge service for all of Krakoa. But she says a simple thank you will be more than enough. And so Storm saying, from every mutant on this island, we thank Mother Righteous. And as they thank her, we see Emma Frost, Exodus, Hope, Charles Xavier, all thrown into the pit. And that will be the end of this issue. Alright, so this was an interesting story. We are seeing all the consequences and repercussions that have come out of this. Not only does Moira fully understand what Sinister has been up to, but she is now equipped with some knowledge over the last 1,000 years. And so if Moira wasn't a threat to mutant kind before this, there is no question whatsoever that she might be the biggest threat to mutant kind. That, of course, is next to Mother Righteous. And Mother Righteous played this beautifully. Not only did she get members of the Quiet Council to throw themselves into the freaking pit, but the Quiet Council see her as a savior. Mother Righteous has been making all kinds of moves. From Sebastian Shaw to freaking Legion. She is doing everything she can. And it looks like all of that hard work is finally paying off. At this point, it's really unsure if they are aware that she is a Sinister. The only one that might know would be Moira. Moira might be letting this play out, letting Mother Righteous completely bring down mutant kind from the inside. It truly does baffle me that Charles and the others, they thought the only thing they could do was drop themselves into the pit. They came up with no other option but to throw themselves into jail. And while they believe that this was their only escape, they believe this is the most secure place that they could be. We have learned that Sabretooth and all the exiles have already escaped this. We have also learned that Orcus is making their way directly to the pit. They are underneath Krakoa drilling away. So what happens when they find the Quiet Council members? What happens when they find Sinister? This is all building up to the fall of X. It looks like Krakoa's future, it looks like it's totally done with. It looks like this is the end of it. Now, we've come to this point many times over. And somehow mutant kind has always found their way out. The question now remains, is there an exit? Is there a way to get out of this? There are so many hanging stories that are ready to just bring Krakoa down to its knees. Whether it be Dark Beast, whether it be Colossus under the control of his brother, whether it be Moira now having information from 1,000 years, or Mother Righteous making her plays. The more and more this era of Krakoa goes on, the more it looks like we are definitely reaching the fall of this great empire. And what is even worse, Hope, one of their most powerful assets, one of their very keys to resurrection, is now taken off the board. What does this mean for our heroes moving forward? Now, obviously, they figured out ways of resurrection without Hope per se. But with such powerful mutants taken off the board, who is left besides Storm to stand against them? One of the best things to come out of this comic is Rasputin 4. She is now here on Krakoa. Many people were hoping that we'd see her again, that some way she would be able to make her way back. And Moira made that possible, knowing that she would go directly after Sinister. And she did this all with the help of Mother Righteous as well. At this point, everything is uncertain. Everything is unknown. The future of Krakoa now hanging in the balance. And the fall of X is just on the horizon. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with this story. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you were unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.